There's been a large number of controversies in the Warrior Cats fandom regarding canon. The first one has to be Scourge's collar due to its numerous depictions. Is it red, blue, plaid, or even rainbow? The second one is once again a color controversy regarding Devilwing's eyes, but that deserves its own video, as I've realized that some younger fans somehow do not know what happened there. Then you have the Thistleclaw and Mapleshade controversies with their defenders. With Thistleclaw, it's people who say if you ignore Spotleaf's heart, then he's a good warrior, and ignores the fact that he hates his own son and tries to murder a kit, as discussed in my Was Thistleclaw Good Before Spotleaf's Heart video. For Mapleshade, it was just poor reading comprehension and a need for a girl boss. Recently, those people have been getting their comeuppance with the rise of Frecklewish, who I love very much. The most recent one I can think of is Bramblestar and Squirrelflight, which was mainly spurred on by Moonkitty's excellent video on it, which led to 1,000 breakup maps. Hell, even I was planning one, but then I realized they'd been dumbed to death already, and I'd be beating a dead horse, or rather a dead cat in this case. Another equally controversial quote-unquote ship is Crowfeather and Nightcloud. It is arguable that they never were a true ship. They both had breeze pelt for their own convenience and remained in their relationship out feeling like it was the only proper thing to do to raise a kit. Opinions on this couple have been mixed over the years. Originally, it was assumed that Nightcloud was the aggressor and Crowfeather was a sad cinnamon roll. However, then it was flipped into poor neglectful father Crowfeather and Mama Bear Nightcloud who was just looking out for the best of her family. Since that period in 2019 when that sentiment emerged, the perspective has changed significantly, but in an objective perspective, who truly was in the wrong? After analyzing all the evidence in this video, my opinion has changed significantly and I'm still unsure of where to stand, so I'm sure you all will be. Let's explore all that together. Before we get started, if you are new to this channel, please think about subscribing. I regularly post both Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats content so you'll never be bored. And to my current subscribers, thank you so much for supporting me. With that, let's get on to the video and begin with the early history of these two cats. Crowfeather first appears not in the main series, but in the Ravenpaw's Path manga series. He escapes from WindClan camp and finds his way to Four Trees as a kit, where Ravenpaw and Barley have been sent to rescue him. Early on, Crowkit feels the call to adventure, and he also complains when Mudclaw shows affection to him, showing his infamous team angst came in early. He gets the answer to his call for adventure later in the new prophecy, when he and the cats from the other clans find themselves summoned to go to the Sundrown place and listen to a mysterious being called Midnight. His father, Deadfoot, who is dead, actually decided for him to go. StarClan does choose favorites, apparently. Before they leave, Crowpaw gets into trouble with ThunderClan as he chases prey over their border, the #1 cause for fights in Warrior Cats. This happens at least 2 more times in this video, I swear. He almost fights Rambleclaw, who he has to go on a journey with over this. Awkward. When they meet at Four Trees, he almost attacks Squirrelpaw. When they leave the forest territories, his attitude absolutely does not improve. He argues with everyone's favorite elder, Purdy. He does not trust the de facto leader of their group, Brambleclaw, and goes against his orders. Perhaps as a punishment for all this anger, Crowpaw is the last to receive his saltwater sign from StarClan, which is when the normal pool of freshwater tastes salty to the cat who receives it. However, Crowpaw is salty enough to make up for all the salt in the saltwater pool, so it doesn't really matter. When they finally get to the ocean, he almost drowns, yet another possible divine punishment for his bad behavior. Throughout this book and the next one, the only cat who he responds to is Feathertail, whom he shares prey with and defends from a fox attack. Unfortunately, Feathertail dies by returning the favors that he gave to her when she kills Sharptooth, losing her life in the process. This experience fundamentally changes Crowpaw as he loses all of his teen angst and becomes described as showing unusual compassion by Squirrelpaw. He decides to choose his warrior suffix Feather in honor of Feathertail. Crowfeather then becomes withdrawn, and Feathertail gives the Leafpaw message to him that he shouldn't be blind to the physical world. Crowfeather takes this as approval to go and chase after Leafpaw, who soon becomes Leafpool. A rebellion occurs in WindClan between 2 cats who think they should be a leader. During a fight between the 2 factions, Leafpool almost falls off a cliff, but Crowfeather saves her. The 2 decide life is short and run off to be together. However, before they go too far, Midnight catches up with them and warns them that ThunderClan is under attack by badgers. The 2 return to help fight them off and part ways. Unbeknownst to Crowfeather, Leafpool is pregnant. When he returns to WindClan, his clanmates are distrustful of him. He notices that his she-cat likes him, Nightcloud, in order to show that he has changed and is now a mature warrior who will not run up with a cat from another clan again. He begins courting her. Let's talk about the other side of the ship, Nightcloud. There's significantly less to go over about her. Nightcloud appears in the latter half of the new prophecy and supports One Whisker in the Wing Clan Civil War. The first time we see the newly made couple being mentioned is after sunset in a short story/play called We Need to Talk. Crowfeather discloses with Leafpool's current relationship. This is a play, so I won't say the character names. I hope my voice is more than enough, and let me read this out to you. Why are you being like this? It was hard for me, too, you know? But ThunderClan needs me to be their medicine cat. I don't have any choice. You did have a choice, and you chose to stay with them. Look, I shouldn't be talking to you. What if someone sees us? My clanmates have only just begun to trust me again, and that's mostly due to Nightcloud. Nightcloud? Why? She had my kids last moon. One star is going to announce it at the next gathering. Oh, I didn't know. Well, what do you think I'd do? Let my clanmates go on thinking I was more loyal to ThunderClan? Nightcloud's a great cat and a good mentor. You were right, Crowfeather. We don't have anything to say to each other now. Goodbye. This is a pretty open admission to Crowfeather's intents in his relationship. He feels no romantic interest towards his mate, and even as far back as now, he shows minimal affection towards his son, even feeling uncomfortable as mentioned in the script on screen. He also clearly didn't fall in love with her and is only using her because she has a good reputation in their clan. After this, Nightcloud goes and fetches Crowfeather. The next time they appear is once again not in the main series but in Leafpool's wish. During a herb hunt, Leafpool finds Crowfeather and Nightcloud on the Wind Clan border. Crowfeather and Leafpool both ask if they can ever be together again, before Leafpool tells him he will just mess everything up even more, referencing their last conversation when he accused her of doing just that. Immediately after his meeting with his ex and having a pretty charged conversation with them that made it pretty clear things were going on, Crowfeather returns to Nightcloud and twines his tail with hers. Nightcloud asks what's happened, and Crowfeather says nothing important. Leafpool feels pretty hurt. She is important in her eyes, and she wonders if he had lied about anything before. Crowfeather wants to have his cake and eat it at the same time. He is with Nightcloud for appearances, but wants his ex on the back burner in case his plan falls through and his clanmates do not accept him. He's leading both of them on. Crowfeather stops actively seeking out his ex after his son is born and Power 3 begins, thankfully, but that does not make him a good mate. We see him and his family for the first time peaceful, however, there's much strife going on in their inner relationship. While Crowfeather is described as being distant and is chastised by other warriors for needing to control how his son acts, in reality he's neglectful towards his son so he can't really control how he acts. A prime example of this is the journey to the tribe during Outcast, where even before the journey starts he audibly sighs after hearing his son's name being called to join him. To be fair, Breezeball had broken the warrior code twice in the prior moon, but what little faith does he have in his own son? Throughout the journey, he continues to belittle and ignore his son. Breezeball, given no high standards to live up to, does nothing to live up to them. If Crowfeather had higher expectations for his son, maybe he wouldn't act the way he did. On the other hand, Nightcloud is not particularly fierce in Power 3 like the fandom likes to portray her as. While she is a bit overprotective as Breezepaw was the sole survivor of his litter, she does not spoil him in any way and corrects him when he tries to disparage Lionpaw and curtails his bad behavior. That's one inaccuracy that needs to be examined. Why is Nightcloud, even in PO3, characterized as a hysterical woman driven to familial obsession by grief in the fandom? Probably underlying misogyny. I'm not an English professor and I'm probably not going to revisit this point later. The relationship between Crowfeather and Nightcloud is amiable for the most part, with the major point of tension being Leafpool. Whenever Crowfeather even gets near her, Nightcloud stares daggers so hard Crowfeather starts to bleed. Crowfeather breaking the code happened forever ago, but Nightcloud just refuses to forgive him. To be fair though, he met with Leafpool 2 times on the border during the start of the relationship. Once during the scene We Need to Talk, and once during Leafpool's wish. Why doesn't she have any faith in her mate? But it's bad on both sides too. Crowfeather ignores his wife's warmth towards him, being described as having empty eyes and not responding to her greeting him. His actions speak louder than Nightcloud's vision. Everything I just mentioned above changes when the products of Crowfeather's illegal relationship, Jayfeather, Hollyleaf, and Lionblaze are revealed. Everything except Crowfeather's neglect, that is. Nightcloud's behavior after this makes a turn to the worst, and we see the fierce she-cat rear her head once again. Knowing that her mate was unfaithful and that she'd been used, she was right about Leafpool. She is unhappy and is rightfully angry. However, she targets her anger on innocent cats instead of her husband. Instead of blaming him for his code breaking, she instead blames Leafpool in entirety, as if she lured him into breaking the code. She does not attack Crowfeather, she just glares at Leafpool. She also blames the two's kits for simply existing. This attitude wears off on Breezepelt, who was predisposed to hate Limeblaze due to their teenage rivalry over Heathertail's affection. This growing hatred is also affected by the Dark Forest, where his dark thoughts are only echoed, and he's encouraged to act on them, eventually even attacking a medicine cat, his half-brother, at the moon pool due to them. Crowfeather, on the other hand, just becomes more distant. He keeps the same attitude with Leafpool, at least. During a hunting patrol confrontation between Breezepelt and Limeblaze, the two are the peacemakers. This scene contains a lot of important characterization for the two in the 4th arc. Limeblaze gasps, taken for surprise, and collapsed into the snow. He felt Breezepelt's teeth land in his shoulder. Raging, Limeblaze thrashed like a fish on the slippery snow. Finding a pothole, he heaved himself to his paws and thrust Breezepelt clear with another hefty blow. Blood splattered onto the snow like crimson rain. "Stop it!" Leafpool's high-pitched shriek shattered the freezing air as she plunged through the bracken with Cinderheart and Dubpaw behind her. "How can you watch your sons fight?" she screeched at Crowfeather. Before Crowfeather could reply, his mate Nightcloud stalked from the shadows beyond the border. Her black pelt matched Breezepelt's, and her amber eyes glittered with the same venom. "He only has one son," he relaced her hiss. "Crowfeather's Breezepelt's father, no one else!" Breezepelt crouched down. Limeblaze could see his muscles plunging beneath his pelt, ready for another attack. "Stop!" Leafpool shot between them. Breezepelt's lunge hit her square in the side. His claws tore her pelt as he dragged her to the ground. Another jet of blood sprayed the snow. Limeblaze stared in shock. Before he could reach for Breezepelt, Crowfeather crossed the ditch and hauled his son off Leafpool. He tossed him aside like prey and leaned over Leafpool. "You chose your clan, remember?" he hissed. She stared up at him. "That doesn't mean I didn't love you." Crowfeather's eyes flashed with pain. "Maybe you did," he growled, "but wasn't enough, was it?" "Get away from her!" Nightcloud had crossed the ditch. She sank her claws into Crowfeather's pelt and dragged him away from Leafpool. Crowfeather turned on his mate, hissing. Breezepelt darted between them with a wail of protest. Limeblaze felt sick. "He's my brother. How can I fight my brother?" Nightcloud is seen both defends her mate and attacks him. While she denies his fatherhood to Limeblaze, she does not deny the existence of Leafpool as his ex-wife, as she tries to get him to not talk to her. This may be because she feels insecure about her kids dying, and Leafpool's better than her in that regard, or maybe she's a tiny bit hypocritical, and has double standards. Crowfeather is very withdrawn in the scene. While he does pull Breezepelt off of Leafpool, he doesn't do anything more affectionate for his family. On the third edge, you poor Breezepelt, caught in it all. Exposed to his mother's radicalization, he takes her side and attacks his own half-brother. He might not even like his mother, as described in this passage from Flametail's point of view. Sometimes at gatherings, Flametail glimpsed Breezepelt eyeing Crowfeather and Nightcloud with an undisguised rage. Crowfeather and Nightcloud never noticed. They were usually too busy exchanging harsh words between them. This is likely because he feels neglected not by one of them, but by both of them, by Nightcloud's raging and by Crowfeather's affair. The child produced in a relationship can often tell you a lot about it. Breezepelt was a cat who broke the code twice in the moon as an apprentice, attacked a priest and a pregnant woman at the same time, and trained in hell. If that doesn't tell you all you need to know, I don't know what will. In the beginning of this relationship, Crowfeather was the one at fault. He had kids with Nightcloud solely to keep up appearances, then ignored them when his clanmates realized that he would not re-break the code, and they had served their rightful purpose. While Nightcloud hung on to this dying relationship and should have left, she was using it as a coping mechanism for the traumatic death of her children, and you really can't blame her. After the truth of Crowfeather's other kiss is revealed, Nightcloud still clings to the relationship, while Crowfeather just becomes more detached, and may even exhibit signs of depression. This all culminates in the final battle where Crowfeather finally has to acknowledge his wrongdoings by saving Limeblaze from his half-brother, instead of taking the side of the full WindClan son. From there, that's an act of change and closure. Things de-escalate. By the end of the relationship and Crowfeather's trial, the both of them mutually agree that they didn't handle it the best, and while they shouldn't be mates anymore, they can at least be friends for the sake of their son. I'm surprised WarriorCats was able to handle a ship like this with so much nuance, even if the fandom doesn't get it. It's always nice to see a background cat grow and mature as seen here. No matter who you think is at fault, I can see how your opinion formed. On one side, Nightcloud never truly embraced Crowfeather into her life, and held his past transgressions against him numerous times, and Crowfeather used her to clear his reputation. She was warm towards him until Among the Stars as well. But on the other side, Crowfeather broke the code once as a young warrior, and that should not be held against him for the rest of his life like the other cats tried to do to him. But he could have cleared his reputation in a better way that wouldn't lead to him leading on an innocent cat and causing his son to be born into a loveless marriage. So to summarize, Crowfeather was the most at fault in Power of 3, and Nightcloud gets a tiny bit more blame for Omen of the Stars, even if it was understandable. But both of them are responsible for fostering the toxic environment that created Breeze Belt. What's your opinion on this ship? I'm still mixed up in how I feel about it, and I understand if you have a differing opinion. I just really want to know how you interpret all the evidence and things in the series, and if I missed out on anything, feel free to correct me. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe. I make Warrior Cats and Wings of Fire videos pretty often, and your support would mean a lot to me. And to those who have already subscribed, thank you so much for your continued support. I wouldn't have gotten here without y'all. That's all. Peace out.